penthouse. Can I see it? She looks at me. She says, all right, well, I'll show it to you. You know, she's a little apprehensive and shit. We get in the elevator. She pulls the key out, beep, to go to the penthouse. Well, that beep in 2004, 2003 was serious shit in 2003. Man, that was like some serious shit. Beep. I get in that shit. We start going up, and I'm thinking as we're riding up, I'm like, man, if they could just see a nigga, boy. You know what I'm saying? This shit is crazy. We're just riding up, and we're riding up. And we
How many floors?
33 or 34. This was, so remember, this is 2003. This is like crazy, right?
At the time, it wasn't that many big buildings.
At the time, it was that big buildings. This was like crazy. We're riding up. We get up. There's like 4 units there for each corner, right? Bro, she opened up the door to the penthouse. She walks in. She opened that shit up. It's like the sky opened up in that penthouse. The floor, the ceilings, the hardwood floors, the windows, how they just kind of wrapped and opened up. It was just, I looked, I said the kitchen, the granite, the floor. I said the terrace was just, the air was so different. It was 3 terraces. And the air was, I just said, I looked at her, I walked in there and my heart racing. I looked at her. I said, I'll take it. She said, you'll take it. I said, I'm taking it. I'm going to close on it. She says, are you sure? I said, yeah. She says, okay, let's go downstairs and do the contract. So we jump back in the elevator. We go back downstairs. I'm excited as hell. This black chick, good looking girl. She's got her suit on. She says, all right. She says, good. So I could tell by her disposition though, something about me just isn't quite, maybe just isn't really resonating with her. You know what I mean? So as we kind of going back downstairs and we're riding back down through, and I'm right there with her, and we're riding down, and we come back down to the concierge. The elevator, she opens the door up, and I see the white people with the dog come walking in. I'm like, oh yeah, the white people with the dog. This is the shit, right? I said, this is where the I need to be. They come walking through and shoot their coats and shit. And we go into the sales office and shit. And we go there and we sit in that damn sales office. And I sit in front of her, and she says, all right, I'm going to do the call form. I'm going to do the contract for you now. She says, so this one is $800,000. She says, is that your offer? I say, I'm fine with the $800,000. She says, good. She says, all right, how much earnest money are you going to leave? I said, $1,000.
Not at this level, you're not.
She's like, what? You're going to leave $1,000? I'm like, yeah, I'm actually going to leave $1,000. She says, listen, sir, are you going to be here to waste my time? I'm not letting you leave $1,000 earnest money, and I'm not sitting here wasting my time doing this paperwork. Says, sir, people leave 1% earnest money, which would be about $8,000. But for these properties, they're leaving 2-3%. These properties on demand. This is one of our last penthouses left. I said, ma'am, I'm going to close this deal. I'm going to get this penthouse in 3 weeks. I'm going to leave you $1,000 earnest money. I'm going to close all cash. She says, sir, I'm not doing it. I'm not filling out the paperwork. I said, miss, just submit the offer to the seller. Who's the seller? She says, it's the company that built it. This is one of the last units they have left. I said, good. Even more so. Because, when I heard that this is one of the last units they have left. Hold over. Yeah. I said, miss, just submit it to the owners, and I'll do just see what they say. She said, no, I'm not submitting it to the offer. I said, you're a licensed agent. It's your job to submit the deal. She says, no, I don't care what kind you say. I'm not sitting here running around with this buffoonery, and I'm not doing it. I said, okay.
Why didn't you just put down, give her $20,000? Why didn't you just say, I'll give you $20,000?
Because I didn't want to put up $20,000. The reason I didn't want to put up $20,000 was that if my deal fell apart and my idea didn't work out, I didn't want to lose the $20,000.
Oh, okay. I'm not sorry. I was assuming you had the money.
No, I've got the money. I don't want to lose. No. I don't want to lose the money. No.
You're not going to lose the money if it's escrow, if it's dependent on financing.
Right, but she's not going to let me do it. Well, they're not going to let you do that kind of deal.
Yeah,
depending
they're
on
saying
what-
down, you put
You
it-
put down. They want
that
your
money's
earnest. Right,
gone.
right. This
Okay.
is not at a whole nother level. They want
Yeah.
that earnest money, and their mindset is like yours. At that level, you should be able to lose it. But you got to remember, I was sitting 5 years ago on Boulevard.
Right.
There's no way. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking $20 totally differently. So what I did do was I went back. I left. I went back. I got my assistant, smart ass girl, brilliant lady named Teresa. She went. I said, "Yo, find that company that developed that." She went downtown, researched the company through the tax records that actually did the development itself, and who the owners were of that unit, which was the company. They were in Israel. They did these things all over the country, these concepts all over the country. She reached out to a guy named Udi, if you're watching this. She reached out to a guy named Udi, reached out to Udi in Israel, and then and left a message for Udi to call me. I called Udi, I said, "Udi, look, tell me who I was. I'm Darcy Richards. Look, I can close this deal in 3 weeks. How long have you had that property sitting there?" He said, "We had it there for like 9 months, some shit like that sitting there." I said, "Udi, look, I can close it sitting there. It's not making you any money." I said, "I'll give you the $800,000. I could close it in 3 weeks. I've got a program," because I had a 100% stated program. And it was a jumbo type of deal, but I had it, right? And I already knew it worked. So I said, "Let me just go ahead and get the financing, make her take the earnest money, so forth and so on." He says, "Let me call you back." He calls me back. He says, "Listen, I'll do it the way you want to do it, those terms." He said, "But give me 825." I said, "No problem, Udi. I'll give you the 825. He raised the price on me. I said, "You do me a favor, though." I said, "What?" I said, "When you come to closing and we close, 2 things. Number 1, I do not want that lady that was there under any circumstances to get a commission. And 2, I do not want under any circumstances for her to be at the closing." He said, "You close in 3 weeks?" I said, "Closing." Cool. Went back. Got a friend of mine, Corrine, who I did business with. She was really successful, beautiful designer. Her and I were doing a bunch of deals together. Told her, "Listen, I got a deal here. I need you to put the property in your name. I'll come back. I'll refinance." Gave her a few bucks. We went back. She went in, did the paperwork, did the 1003s, did all the processing, gave all the products in. I already had the loan product. I knew what the product was. We sent it to my loan officer. He went and processed the deal. When he processed that deal, 2.5 weeks, we were sitting at a closing with Udi. I think I still walked away from the deal because of the way it was praised, still pulled a little bit of cash out because it was 100% financing, had maybe about another $25,000, like $25,000 to $40,000. I used that towards decorating. Went to that deal, closed the deal in like 2.5 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 2.5 weeks, give or take from there. I am walking through that lobby with my bags, me and Teresa walking through that lobby, and we are walking through the door, brother. The niggas are here, you know what I'm saying? Coming through the door, going through that lobby, going through that door, coming through, and as I walk through the lobby, the sales office, right here, bro. And she's sitting there. I said, "God, how could you bless me like this?" She's sitting there. I had the bags. I looked at her. "Hi." I wait, you wave the bag. "Hi, how you doing? Just want to say hello to everybody. I'm the new owner of Penthouse 05 or some shit like that." She just gave me the look of death.
When people ask me what's real and what was fake in the movie, one thing he would do, they actually showed this thing in the movie. He would pretend to be a contracting officer, and he would call up his competitors and say, "There's a glitch in our system. I need to enter the numbers by hand. Can you just give me that price that you bid on this contract?" And he would get his competitors to give him the price that they bid over the phone, and so he could undercut them. The thing that really blew my mind is that he used his cell phone to make these calls, and he wouldn't like star 67 or whatever it was.
Not using a socket server to say it's from the U.S. military or anything.
Exactly. You can easily see what number called from, and it's like associated with him online.
Yeah,
he didn't cover his tracks at all. Yeah. So it always shocked me that he got away with it.